better team, played the better football, probably should have won it, but they didn't win it. Kerry got out of jail. Why were Kerry so poor last week? I think Kerry came into the contest undercooked. Mayo came in, building up momentum during the summer, playing competitive matches. I thought they played the game on their terms. They were sharp physically and mentally. Kerry were undercooked, were off the pace. Mayo played the game, like I said, on their terms, and Kerry have a lot of learning to do.
We understand there's no changes on the Mayo team. Two late changes on that Kerry team, Pat.
Well, there are. Jack Barry in for Anthony Maher is not a surprise. Anthony struggled in the first half last week. Kerry's midfield improved considerably when Jack came in. Jack has an engine, Jack has pace, and Croke Park is the ideal pitch. It's a big call dropping James O'Donoghue.
Yes.
Man of the match against Clare in the semi-final, superb against Cork. Got injured after the Munster final, and yes, he's been struggling for form. It's still a big call. What I'm surprised of, the two things I'm surprised of, A, that Donegal Walsh is starting, bearing in mind that he pulled a hamstring on the Tuesday before the drawn match. Now, if it's a grade 1 hamstring, which is the least, it's a 3-week. If it's a grade 2, it's 4 to 8 weeks, so it's a big question. But the big question mark about the team is, like, the one line of the team that got the stride last week was the full back line. The defence were in trouble, and the defence are still unaltered. So, look, I think Kerry will have learned. They will get to the pitch of the battle today. Look, at the same time, the last day, Kerry came from behind twice from 4 points, played poorly, and lived to fight another day.
So, Joe, who's learned most?
Well, we'll soon see. I think that big pressure on Rochford because of the Aidan O'Shea decision, which backfired very obviously. For me, he has a lot of frailties as a manager. He lacks confidence, and so I think that he might feel under pressure to keep O'Shea there again today, just to prove that he was right, or to try to prove that he was right, which I think would be a bad decision. The manager must be pragmatic. Halfway through the first half, we could see the problems there. Kerry, I think, from their part, it's a pretty simple thing that they need to do. They just need to operate Tag Morley like Cian O'Sullivan, so that as soon as he sees the attack developing, the number 6 should drop back in and protect the full back line, because the problem was that they had no protection at all, and there was 30-40 yards clear space between the Kerry masses and the two inside Kerry defenders who were left completely isolated. But the big issue for Mayo is always, can they start converting heroic draws into ruthless victory?
There's another little change, by the way, Pat. We were talking about changes in the Kerry team. We gathered that it is now Tom O'Sullivan who's actually coming in the corner.
For who?
For James O'Donoghue.
Oh, well, this is very simple. I mean, Tom O'Sullivan is a defender. Tom O'Sullivan has blistering pace, great under 21. So it's obvious.
Sweeper.
He won't play sweeper, but you're right. I think Tadhg Morley, who's a very intelligent player from the Temple North club, Tadhg could play sweeper. Tom O'Sullivan will go back either wing back or corner back, but he brings huge pace and huge energy. And for the first time, this is the first time that Fitzmaurice is giving the youngsters a real chance. Savage, Barry, and now Tom O'Sullivan. That's a big call.
It is. In actual fact, Colin Rourke, there were a string of changes on the Kerry team from the one that would have played the last day, let's say. And that's not a surprise, because we were talking to Eamon Fitzmaurice just a little while ago, and he indicated he was going to make changes. Didn't tell us specifically at the time what they were, but there are quite a few changes.
Yeah, well, if you go back to the game 3 years ago in Limerick, Fitzmaurice showed how ruthless he was by dropping Mark O'Shea on that occasion.
Jonathan Lyne also in the team, Pat, in the full back line, so yeah.
Yeah, the changes continue, but he has been ruthless in the past. Mark O'Shea would have been a close friend. He was exiled to the subs bench for that day, so it's obvious Kerry are worried, and I think that this Kerry team is not a great team. I said it the last day. For me, there's only about 4 Kerry players that I would put in the great category. Paul Murphy, David Moran, Paul Gainey, Kieran Donaghy. James O'Donoghue would have been in, but his injury has limited his effectiveness. So Mayo have a great chance. People talk about improvement. Look at the improvement Mayo made in the drawn game against Roscommon the replay. So it's quite possible that they could make improvements. Surely they won't make so many silly mistakes. I know we've been brought up for a lifetime on Mayo's silly mistakes in Croke Park, but Mayo don't have as much to get right as Kerry do.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, because there were 2 big issues, I thought, from Mayo's point of view. 3 big issues, really. Seamus O'Shea's very lacklustre, performances at midfield. With Aidan O'Shea being left at full back, it left Mayo without drive alive in that midfield area, albeit that you'd have to say with Aidan back there, the forward unit functioned more smoothly.
Yeah.
There was very little ball carrying. The ball was being moved in the way they wanted to be moved in. Secondly, Lee Keegan being played at right half forward. Very bad idea. Lee thrives in the half-back line. Playing him at wing half-forward did two things. First of all, it put him into direct opposition with Paul Murphy. That was what Kerry would have loved to do. That's the matchup that they want.
Yeah.
And then what happens, of course, was Paul Murphy on Keegan, which is exactly what Kerry
would
wanted.
have that matchup anyway.
But the point,
Kerry would have put Paul Murphy on Lee Keegan to prevent
probably,
it.
but
and there's no point in us here discussing things about Aidan O'Shea where to play. You must come up with an alternative.
Yes.
I'm picking teams all the time
Yes.
with fellas, and I've made a right pig ear of a lot of them, because you might try something and it goes completely wrong.
Sure.
But when you're sitting down, you say, what happens, lads, after 10 or 15 minutes if this is not working out? Who are we going to play full-back? So who are Mayo going to
But they have an easy rotation column. All they do is they bring Aidan O'Shea to midfield, they take Seamus O'Shea off, they bring in Paddy Durkin, and they put Brenton Harrison at full-back.
Yeah, but
a proper man marker.
There's certainly no doubt that there was much debate the last day about how the teams lined up. In actual fact, Gerard Canning is in the commentary box right now, and he's going to tell us how things are shaping up this afternoon.
I certainly hope I can do that, Michael, because as you've now gathered, 3 changes made from the team published by Kerry last night, and of course Donncha Walsh as well has come in. What about Donncha Walsh's role in this side? I think he was sorely missed last Sunday.
Yeah, it just shows, at this level there's not much between the teams, and Eamon Fitzmaurice is a brave manager making 3 changes to his starting team, but Donncha Walsh was badly missed for his experience, and Eamon Fitzmaurice will be delighted to call on him today.
OK, Desi, let's just remind ourselves then as to how the teams are likely to line out today. Kerry goalkeeper Brian Kelly will look for a bit more cover this time. Nothing he could do, of course, about the 2 shots that beat him on Sunday last. Now, adjustments were expected in the full back line, where Mark Griffin was substituted early in the drawn game, and we now learn, of course, that Jonathan Lyne has come in. I doubt very much he's going to be at full back. Let's wait and see. Speculation at half back that Peter Crowley could move into the centre today. Tyke Morley could move back to number 3, and Paul Murphy set for another day shadowing Lee Keegan. In the centre of the field now, David Moran starts alongside Jack Barry, who came in at half-time last Sunday for Anthony Maher. No surprise there. The half-forward line shows goal scorers Stephen O'Brien and Johnny Buckley starting, with a return Donncha Walsh, whose influence can be so crucial. And then up front, Paul Gainey joins forces with the big man Kieran Donaghy, and as you've heard, Tom O'Sullivan comes in for James O'Donoghue, but he is a half-back, a very pacey half-back. Mayo's David Clark made a couple of great saves here on Sunday, but struggled on occasions with his kickouts. He has Brendan Harrison listed at cornerback today, Donald Vaughan, who is extremely adaptable, and Keith Higgins, who's been an absolute pillar in defence. Lee Keegan wears 5, but he could switch just as easily to midfield, while Chris Barrett and Colin Boyle are now anchor tenants in that half-back line. The centre field pairing consists of the industrious Seamus O'Shea and the scorer of 2 points in the drawn game, Tom Parsons. The Mayo half-forward line, well, may not have scored last weekend, but then, as we know, Aidan O'Shea was deployed on active service elsewhere. Where will he play today? Time will tell. And the main attacking line has Jason Doherty, terrific the last day, linking up with Killian O'Connor, and the man of the match, who was Andy Moran. For the men in charge, the challenge is great. Stephen Rochford of Mayo has to hatch another plan to bring down the kingdom, while Eamon Fitzmaurice has had 6 days in which to right the wrongs of the drawn encounter. They've been chatting with Joanne Cantwell.
What do you think last week's game did for this Kerry team? Because obviously you had quite a few breaks and you didn't have huge challenges. How much better do you think you might be today?
Yeah, it was massive for us. It was a huge game. It was a huge battle. We needed it. You know, we'd had a game 3 weeks. We had a 4-week gap. We had another 3-week gap. So there'd been big gaps there. So there's no doubt we needed a game. I think you could see last week Mayo were pitched way better than us for the game. So hopefully that game now will make a big difference this week.
Do you expect any surprises from their sideline?
They can do, of course. I mean, they pulled surprises last week, but that's outside of our control. We'll try and control our own thing and go from there.
Well, look, I think, we contributed part to our own downfall and, contributing to the 2 goals. We turned over easy ball. Didn't score for the last 19 minutes of the first half. A little bits like that we know that we can do better, and we'll need to be better than last Sunday, because obviously it didn't give us enough for a win.
Do you go in and change tactics completely? Do you have something up your sleeve again today?
Time will tell. Kerry are a fine team, so it's never going to be as simple. And as I said, the performance the last day wasn't good enough.
Will you tell us who's going to play fullback for Mayo today?
That's always a cliffhanger.
Indeed, it is. Mayo will be attempting to do something today that they haven't done in 21 years, beat Kerry in an All-Ireland semi-final. The big game is coming up shortly.
They're still trying to reprise what might be happening in Las Vegas later on, but it'll be in the boxing ring there rather than wrestling. Picking himself up there, Tyke Morley at the end of all of that. So early indications the referee could have a busy afternoon.
Yeah, well, as I looked out for the throw up, all over the pitch there was battles going on. So there's early intent that this is going to be a tight and physical battle.
It'll be Aidan O'Shea who will take it. Ball comes bouncy back here towards Tom Parsons once again. Challenged there by Killian Young. Breaks back as far as Keith Higgins. Leaving it off as far as Seamus O'Shea. Started inside, has moved back out. Now gives it to his younger brother. And Aidan sets off. No hint of a full back this afternoon position for him anyway. Gives it into Lee Keegan. Anonymous the last day. Look.
Barry getting very physical around midfield.
Meanwhile, O'Connor hits. And Killian O'Connor raises the first white flag. Free to Kerry. David Moran's going to try and launch the first attack. Towards Kieran Donaghy, lets it bounce this time. Shadowing him, Donny Vaughan. That's played beautifully forward here. And there's an opportunity to kick this one in and over the bar. Good shot, really good opening point there. Scored by Jonathan Lyne. Remember the 2 points he scored in Limerick back in 2014. That's a very good start for him.
And that ball came, a long ball in.
Keith Higgins is able to take it out as far as Aidan O'Shea. Really good tactical battle this one. That's a bit high on the part of Peter Crowley.
And Ger, since the game has started, it's been physical on both sides. Both sides are getting in. Particularly the Kerry defenders seem to be hurting.
As Donny Vaughan was coming out here, Crowley got a hold of him and gets a yellow card for his troubles. First of the match coming after 5 minutes.
Yeah, the referee's going to have a busy afternoon because there's definitely increased physicality in.
Bounces down there, there are extra players. Jonathan Lyne's about, and the referee saw the restraining, and it's going to be another free in, and Kerry can't afford to be ill-disciplined like this.
Yeah, but Mayo are exploiting it again. Paul Murphy is sitting, as you said, Paul Murphy is sitting constantly back in defence, but there's a lot of early long ball going in by him, and Andy Moran is getting out in front.
So the referee just bringing Killian O'Connor forward onto the 13-metre line. A chance to pop over another one here. His second chance to score in this semi-final replay. Easiest one of the day he's likely to get, I would imagine. And Mayo, the free kick. Too many free kicks already, and only 7 minutes are gone. Keith Higgins. Into a stride is Lee Keegan here. Thought about kicking it, gives it off to Andy Moran instead. Steadies himself, looking to put one over the bar, and he's done so. First chance he's got.
Yeah, and the effect of Paul Murphy going back in is Keith Higgins is left free. He passed the ball to Lee Keegan, so they're under pressure again in that defence.
And under pressure from the short kick out immediately. Paul Murphy had picked it up from Kerry goal. Again, Aidan O'Shea challenges Donaghy. Down goes big Donaghy. They've got to know one another pretty well in this tie.
Yeah, and I have to say, Kieran Donaghy used all his know-how there. He worked the free very well.
Pretty dramatic fall on his part.
For such a big man, he went down soft enough in that instance.
Referee has issued another yellow card, and it's to Aidan O'Shea now. So a yellow card, simple free kick for a player of his standards. This to put just one between them. Bit of a hit and miss match so far, but that's his first. The attack once again. Jack Barry, the UCD student, leaves that one behind, almost stolen by Tom Parsons, but he does well. And Barry from the Gael club in Tralee, in here as far as Johnny Buckley. Again, falling to ground, back out as far as Gainey has a kick at it and puts this one over the bar. and the teams are level.
Yeah, great score by Paul Gainey there. By his standards, a bit quiet last weekend, but that ball was broken down. Andy Moore missed it. Shane Enright got out in front.
There was so much attention, I suppose, up front for Kerry last week on the battle between Donaghy and Aidan O'Shea. To an extent, we saw very little of Gainey or James O'Donoghue.
Yes,
but there's an awful lot of space, Desi, today.
That middle section, stop the runners that are so strong for Mayo.
And they might be lulling Mayo into a false sense of security as well, as Kerry come again with Johnny Buckley patiently waiting, picking his moment, kicking with a bit of style and lots of accuracy, and Kerry lead by 4 points to 3.
Yeah, great composure from Johnny Buckley there, took his time, great finish.
The kick out as far as Lee Keegan. Now Chris Barrett. Nothing hurried, but they want to be on their toes here. Aidan O'Shea goes back just to offer that little bit of extra reassurance and it comes as far as Keith Higgins eventually. Dropped all the way down to the two-man inside forward line. Andy Moore and trying to worm his way away there from Shane Enright. Finish on the winning side this time, however, and that's a third. Demonstrated by Mayo here, coming forward, trying to take the lead once again. This time it's Kevin McLaughlin, his first kick, I think, on target. What a start for him.
Great player, Kevin McLaughlin, but again, Colin Boyle to Keith Higgins, all these half-backs attacking at pace, and a great finish by Kevin McLaughlin.
Kerry moving out of defence here. This is Tom O'Sullivan, operating there as a kind of left half-back with licence to move forward. Killian Young popping it up into the air towards Donaghy. Tactic number one, and it's pawed away by Aidan O'Shea, who went back to help out. Maybe he is taking a little stint going back on Donaghy. And they were just deceiving us earlier on with the other arrangements that they've been making.
Yeah, great communication on the Mayo side. Getting back there, but like you've seen a lot more ball gone in already to Kieran Donaghy in the first couple of minutes.
Well, he's the only attacking outlet, essentially, other than carry the ball up along the flanks here, as the middle is so congested. Booted into the middle of the field. Mayo have the numbers, Mayo have the ball as well. Colin Boyle, goal scorer here on Sunday. This one he's put away to the right-hand side, but the referee's calling the playback.
Yeah, great catch there.
Finisher given a chance, but these have been easy frees so far for him. Mayo are making the opportunities. That was a great run by Colin Boyle that resulted in this one, and it's a fourth pointed free by O'Connor, and it's 6 points to 4 now.
Yeah, and just watching, Donald Vaughan has gone to centre half back picking up Johnny Buckley, and Kieran Donaghy is now being picked up by Aidan O'Shea.
Oh. That's amazing. Brian Kelly. Let's have a look at this again.
This something we see.
It's the first time I think I've seen a goalkeeper kick the ball out, but they were vital. Very fine margins. From 40 metres out, safely over. It's his 5th of the day so far. They've all been from free kicks, but the message is clear. Kerry can't keep on conceding like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as Killian is taking his kick, the rest of the teammates are putting massive pressure, pushing up on Brian Kelly's kick out.
And they're pushing up again here. Donny Vaughan trying to get away from Barry. Back here as far as Tom Parsons. Oh, giving it away there to Stephen O'Brien, who's been largely anonymous so far in this game. Tyke Morley. Kerry have really yet to get going. Jonathan Lyne, one of their scorers. Beautifully up as far as Donegal Walsh. Transferred here quickly. Into Gainey. Paul Gainey. Beautifully over. Needs just the minimum amount of space. Such a clever player. A real out-and-out finisher, Paul Gainey. And he's got 3 points so far. 2 of them from open play. And it's only a 2-point game.
Yeah, a real special player is Paul Gainey. Out of nothing, he creates opportunity. Brilliant finish as well.
Donny Vaughan. In full flow, giving it off as far as Keegan. A lot of hard running being done by Mayo. Killian O'Connor. They've had a lot of possession, probably majority possession so far in the game. But as you can see, still only a couple of points in front.
Yeah, I think Keith Higgins is the sweeper for Mayo. Paul Murphy is the sweeper for Kerry, and I think Keith Higgins needs to start pushing a little bit more up.
Donny Vaughan back to Parsons once again. Bit like chess, they finally get it out to Keegan. There's another player in the ground. It's Donny Vaughan again. Back up on his feet. Higgins. Well, this time he does advance a little bit more. Deep into Kerry territory. Andy Moran attracts a couple of players to him. Back to Higgins. Back off once more. Now 35 metres out from goal. Gives it off to Donny Vaughan. It could be dangerous, and it is dangerous. And it's Dermot O'Connor. Opening goal of the game. It's come after 28 minutes.
Yeah, long shot in there by Donald Vaughan, dropping short, and Dermot O'Connor very alert and a great finish, great awareness.
It's his third goal of this year's championship, and now it's 1-7 to 5 points, and Kerry have to start going. Donica Walsh hauled down, free kick once again, which is quickly taken as far as Peter Crowley. Chance for him to put it over the bar, maybe even score a goal. Oh! Right across the face of goal. It's got a touch. It's gone for a 45.
Yeah, great awareness there, and Peter Crowley had one thing on his head as he got that ball, and he flashed it across the goal. I didn't see a touch from anyone, but umpires see it different. But a great finish there, a delicate hand by Dermot O'Connor.
It looked like a ball that was going to produce very, very little, but he ghosted in brilliantly. The tempo and the pace of the game at the moment. Parsons back out as far as Chris Barrett, would love to score, and he's done exactly that. He scored against Roscommon in the replay, and he's got another one here, and he's made it 1-8 to 5 points.
Yeah, and it's magnifying the role of Paul Murphy. He's sitting in there in front of the full back line, but a little bit lost at the minute and out of position.
Kerry are facing a big, big challenge. And the next 5 minutes now before half-time, I want to see them do something about the current scoreline.
Yeah, at that instance it was Colin Boyle who drove at them. Great opportunity for Chris Barrett.
That was Paul Murphy advancing, but he was being tripped. Free kick, which Kieran Donaghy was thinking about taking quickly. Going to leave it instead, I think.
Yeah, Paul Murphy and Kevin McLaughlin getting back.
And he's able to step up and raise another white flag. 4 for Gainey.
And if there's one area of the game that Mayo can improve, it's the concession of soft frees like that. And I do think if to do that, Kerry are struggling to create good, decent opportunities.
3 minutes to go.
Today is 53,000, and certainly of that contingent, the Mayo crowd are happy so far. And Pat, you guys are in a spot of bother.
We are. Now, first of all, it's from a neutral point of view, it's very disappointing first half. It's been poor football. 2 niggly, 2 stop-start, 28 frees, 6 yellow cards. You won't see 30 players staying on the field at the end. Now, let's not take anything away from this. Mayo played all the football in this half. Because you know why? For the very simple reason. Mayo set out their stall from the very start. They're playing the game on their terms. They're playing the game on the front foot. They're believing. It's probably a tale of kick-outs. Mayo pushing up on Kerry's kick-outs. They're believing they can win kick-outs. Kerry had 15 kick-outs. They've only won 7 of them. Whereas it's probably a tale of kick-outs. Kerry have lost 8 kick-outs. Mayo have taken 10 kick-outs, won all 10 kick-outs. And I think the role of Aidan O'Shea today sort of sums up what this Mayo team is all about. He's playing the game on his terms.
Yeah.
Donaghy is now chasing him. And what I like about him is that he's alternating. He's full back, he's centre field, he's running at the attack. But look, all the football was played by Mayo. They're the better football team. If Kerry get out of jail, lads, it'll be Lazarus-like.
Well, Colm, I think Pat obviously isn't enjoying the game too much, but then Kerry are 5 points down.
And Pat was saying it's not a great game. It's a great game from a Mayo point of view because they're dominating all the physical exchanges. All the best players on the pitch, like Colin Boyle was absolutely outstanding driving forward. Donald Vaughan, Keith Higgins, every good player really, apart from Paul Gainey, is on the Mayo side, and they have improved. the Kerry changes that they made, none of them have worked.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes it's inspirational, sometimes it's panic when you make decisions. It doesn't look as if any of the big changes on the Kerry side have worked. And the pattern of the drawn game is completely reversed. Kerry got away a lot of their kickouts. Mayo now have stopped that. The other side of it, Kerry have given away a lot of silly frees. Mayo give away the silly frees in the first game. So Mayo have seemed to learn far more from the drawn game than Kerry have.
And this is so often the case, Joe, that the replay isn't like the first game was.
Well, Mayo will have decided they're not going to keep Kerry in the game this time. Last week they kept Kerry in the game. I mean, they gave them the lifelines. They're the much better team and they're playing with conviction, so that's been shown on the scoreboard today. In fact, if Lee Keegan hadn't taken a couple of very errant shots, you know, and been slightly more controlled, Mayo would be coming in 6 or 7 ahead. But the secret to it has been the annihilation of the Kerry kick-out. Mayo are awesome when they do this, when they push up properly. Aidan O'Shea's pushed up into the middle of the field for the kick-outs. 6 long kick-outs the Kerry keeper had to take because he simply couldn't find a short kick-out. All 6 of those long kick-outs won by Mayo, and it's been a great platform for them. And the prevailing pattern, we can see it from above, is that Kerry, in every facet, are chasing the game, and the only thing that's keeping their heads above water at all is some miraculous work from Paul Geaney.
First in the first half, a goalkeeper kicking the ball over his own end line. I never saw that before.
Can I make just one point? I mean, Kerry last week didn't protect their full back line, so they had no defensive plan. So today, in the space of a week, Kerry have miraculously come up with a sweeper system. Now, has it worked? Not really. You cannot come up with a sweeper system, but what it's doing is it's not very effective, but it's playing into Mayo's hands because Mayo have an extra man out the field, and when it comes to the running game and fellas coming off the shoulder, Mayo, that's when Mayo are at the best. So it's absolutely kamikaze tactics.
It also means
It's time for us to take a break here on the programme, but do stay with us because straight after that we're going to give you a chance to enter our competition and maybe win yourself a trip to New York. New York. Give it a bit of a tidy up while you're there as well. Reminder of the scoreline in this game. Mayo, of course, leading Kerry by 1 goal and 8 points to 6 points. That goal column for Mayo. This was a real sucker punch for Kerry.
It was, and it was a fortuitous goal, even though it cemented the fact that Mayo, being the dominant side in possession, didn't have much to show in the score. Donald Vaughan got the ball, and everybody, I think, in the crowd was shouting, "Don't do it, Donald, don't shoot for a point." It dropped short. Diarmuid O'Connor, who hasn't had a great year or a great game, following in like any good forward should do. Kerry goalkeeper Brian Kelly doesn't know what he's doing, and Jonathan Lyne lets his man inside him. A complete mess up, and it shows the way that Mayo have to go. Keep going at them and keep going at them. The danger for Mayo is to sit back.
Joe, apart from the goal, and Pat was talking about the kick out that went over the sideline, let's talk about the Kerry kickouts. They have been poor all the half.
But in fairness, Mayo did this brilliantly in the last quarter against Derry when all seemed lost. They pushed up and they made it. They exerted the total stranglehold in the game from there on, and they've done it today. I mean, Aidan O'Shea's pushed out into the middle of the field in the kickouts, and he's been very dominant out there. Mayo are forcing the Kerry keeper to kick long. They're touch tight, and their dynamism. They're just hungry for the game today. They've more desire. And, you know, Kerry, the reality is that Kerry are firefighting all over the pitch. I mean, and Mayo have battled and battled. They've decided enough's enough. And, I mean, Pat was saying there, if this was anybody other than Mayo, you would say, look, that they're definitely going to go on and win this game. But I'm going to say they are definitely going to go on and win this game because, I mean, the Kerry kick-out eventually was under such pressure that this is rare as a baby panda. I don't think I've ever seen that before, the goalie kicking the ball over his own end line. And this exemplifies the panic, and I don't see where Kerry can come back from here. Of course, we've seen gifts being given to teams playing against Mayo in the past in big days, but this Mayo team look very serious about their business today.
So what are Kerry going to do to change this around, Pat?
Well, I was just looking at some of the stats for 35% possession Kerry had. The Kerry forwards got 3 points in play. They gave away 5 points from frees. What must Kerry do? Scrap the sweeper, throw off the shackles, go for the juggler, but you need an improvement up front. You have to bring in James O'Donoghue. You have to give, and we have a young lad in the neighbouring club, Kinmare, brilliant forward. I think Sean O'Shea. I think we have to go for it now. We have to go for broke. We've been negative, conservative. The defensive system isn't working. The style of play we had in the first half was. Well, this is
But there's a bottom line. Whenever you're being swept aside, it's very difficult to make any one move to change things.
Agreed.
All right, let's see what happens now. It's time to go back to Ger Canning and Desi Dolan.
Thanks, Michael. We've just seen Conor Loftus come on here, and the only player I can't see at the moment is the goal scorer, Diarmuid O'Connor.
Yeah, that's interesting. Diarmuid O'Connor.
After the hamstring trouble just backfired, hasn't worked. Cillian O'Connor, meanwhile, looking to make a bright start to the second half. He's done exactly that. He's got a sixth-pointed free in the game, and it is already some 8 minutes now either side of half-time since Kerry has scored last. It's going well for Stephen Rochford. It's match number 9, remember, in this year's championship. Match number 8 for Kerry. They have it all to do, to put it mildly. Here's Paul Murphy. They've got to summon up the necessary Kerry spirit now in the next 35 minutes. Otherwise, it'll be Mayo against either Dublin or Tyrone, who, of course, meet tomorrow. A match you can see live here on the Sunday game. David Moran trying to work his way through, looking to try and get something back here with James O'Donoghue. Can this man inspire Kerry? That's not a bad start. One for James O'Donoghue.
Yeah, and that's what James O'Donoghue offers you. He's very direct. You can see him there taking his men on. He has struggled a little bit for confidence in the last 2 games, but he's very good in the Cork Munster final.
This is easily won back, however, by Jason Doherty up here towards Conor Loftus. Loftus from Crossmolina inside to Andy Moran. Brilliantly took it there. And there's a goal for the taking, and Andy Moran's got another one. It's a second goal for Mayo. It's another one for Andy Moran with 37 minutes gone. What a bright start to the second half now. 2-9 to 7 points. Cillian O'Connor to Andy Moran, combining wonderfully well there. 2 players who know one another really well, both on the same page, connecting like Lego and finishing decisively.
Yeah, and a great ball in there from Conor Loftus, but these guys have such awareness. They've played so many games this year. They're so familiar with each other's patterns. You can see that all over the pitch. Mayo are dominating.
Kevin McLaughlin in the thick of that one there.
Yeah, and Andy Moran did everything right. Gave the ball. Cillian O'Connor gave it back. And
4 points in the first half. 2 from frees, 2 from play. Just needs to get it in over the bar and get on with it. First to the back as far as Young once again. A collision of bodies there. Cillian O'Connor picks himself up. Young kicks it in. It's for Donaghy. Beats Aidan O'Shea. Feeds it off here towards the corner forward. And Gainey sees this one. Stopped on the end line. It's gone for a 45. And once again, it's Colin Boyle in the nick of time.
And what a player he is. But you see the threat of Donaghy there. And that's the one thing I'd worry about this Mayo team. If they do concede goals, it'll give Kerry an opportunity. What play by Colin Boyle. Spotted the danger. Great awareness.
Well, it's one that Kerry certainly needed. And Paul Gainey trying to add to his goals tally. But once again, stymied there by the presence of the Davids player, 31-year-old Colin Boyle. David Moran to these runs of his, gives it all the way back. Paul Murphy bounces just in front of Jonathan Lyne, point scorer earlier on in the match. Donaghy, who hasn't scored so far, and they're not going to get anything out of that one either. A pretty hopeless kick. David Clark onto it quickly. Referee blows his whistle again. Another bit of work to be done on his part. Notebook out. Referee has done a lot of writing, and this I think is for that earlier challenge there, and it's Darren O'Sullivan who's got a black card for a foul just as play was developing on this near side of the field. The referee allowed an advantage and then went back to deal with it.
And he's very irate about this, and I seen what happened. Cillian O'Connor tried to stop him running up the pitch. He was chasing down. The ball is coming the other way, and he's really irate because I think this is a wrong call.
Liam Hassett's trying to keep him away from the linesman on this near side, who I think is Niall Cullen from Fermanagh. So Kerry lose a player to a black card and another change, and they've lost the influence of Darren O'Sullivan, and that could be costly as well as they try to work their way back into the game. Aidan O'Shea's lost possession. Here's Peter Crowley, gives it back out as far as Gainey. Can Paul Gainey rescue Kerry yet? The man who got 1-4 in last year's All-Ireland semi-final against Dublin. Kerry don't want to lose another semi-final. Jack Barry unable to kick it over the bar. Stephen O'Brien maybe. It's David Moran in the end, very complex. The referee finally blows his whistle.
Yeah, Patrick Durkin, you can see him there. He's tugging the jersey of Stephen O'Brien very subtly, but he was tugging it all the time. And
last time I can recall Kerry playing here in the championship on a Saturday was against Down.